So Pierre, could you tell us about maybe the most exciting remembering that you have about your career?
Well, there has been a lot, but I remember, for example, in Gabon, when we've been to Gabon, we had an interview with Omar Bongo, the former president of Gabon, and we had to wait for at least 4 hours. And that's what we call les antichambres africaines. And for me, that was a very strong experience because you had all these views of Africa, you know, like leopards, lions, how do you say, empaillés in French?
No.
And we had this this feeling of being not needing to be fast on time. We had simply to wait, you know. And that was a great experience. Of course, after there was a lot of countries. I love India, so I had a lot of nice experience in India. I remember in Iran buying saffron in shops and happy to be able to give it to a lot of people who were keen on having saffron and so on. Of course, there's a lot of nice experiences and remembering.
So, and what is the worst moments that you've experienced?
Actually, once I was very afraid, and that was in Djibouti. We were flying over Tajura, the Tajura, Gulf of Tajura, with a helicopter. The pilot was great. Simply he had an ulcer. We didn't know that. And suddenly, that was just that we thought we were going to crash. The guy was so bad. He felt so bad. We finally managed to see the shoreline, so we flew to the shoreline. I remember to tell him, look, land on the shoreline, but it was very sandy. So by chance, the guy managed to do a few hundred meters more, and we landed on a safer place where also the helicopter was safe, if you want. But that was really crazy. I was really like holding his knee, hoping to do anything I could to help him.
Because you're also a helicopter pilot yourself,
yeah,
no?
Yeah, I used to fly as a professional helicopter pilot, but you know, you're in a situation, of course I would have tried, but it's a long time ago, it's a different type. That was a French helicopter. I used to fly on US helicopters at that time. And no, I'm still thankful to that man today.
Yes, and I suppose that you've kept the contact with him, no?
Yeah, I kept, especially with the mission here, because the ambassador is a good friend. It is a little difficult remember, but I know that without this guy, I might be having crashed. And you know, if you crash in the ocean, it's a little difficult.
Yeah, and you just told us that you've worked extensively with WHO during more than 10 years, and long after you've left the WHO, your pictures are still published in a lot of countries, and also in countless United Nations publications, especially for UNAIDS, for whom you've traveled also as a consultant through 3 continents. I heard that you did a very unique edition for UN Special Magazine for the start of the millennium in Ethiopia. So could you give us a little bit more details about that
Yeah, that was a
event?
great experience, actually. We had, UN Special is actually a magazine which is more for the UN staff in Geneva or in New York. But we had an Ethiopian staff called Seble Demeke. And she had this great idea to say, for the millennium, to understand what is the millennium in Ethiopia, that means because of the religion, they start the millennium 7 years after us. That means the Ethiopian millennium was in 2007. So she had this idea to say, let's do something special on that. We might have open doors. We got support for Ethiopian Airlines, for different people in the government and so on. So we went there, a small staff, like 4 or 5 people. And we traveled all around Ethiopia. And the idea was actually not to show what is typical in Ethiopia, what people think about Ethiopia, like famine, like problems with the war, the story of the emperor or whatever. So we tried to focus actually on subjects which were atypical. So for example, we had this funny story in Sheshemene. Sheshemene is a small city south of Addis, where the Rasta people are living. So we met actually the head of the Rasta. He sat on the bed where Bob Marley slept when he was invited by the emperor. So we had that story, and then we had the Women's Lawyer Association, very tough woman, very secure, explaining Ethiopia's situation about the women and so on. Of course, we also visited different typical places like Lalibela and Harar and whatever. And we met also a guy who was doing a kind of Ethiopian Club Med. He did a lot of money in the US, so he came back and he opened up a great place with, like a massage place, spa and everything, but everything in an Ethiopian style.
And where is that located?
That was south also of Addis, near a small lake. I just don't remember exactly the name, but that was very atypical. And so we focused actually on things where people would be surprised. On the same time, because Seble had a lot of contacts, on the day of the millennium, she was invited by the main TV, and she was on prime time with the magazine, showing the magazine on TV, and for us it was just a great day.
Magazine with your pictures?
With, of course, most of the pictures, yes.
Yes. I mean, when you speak about Ethiopia, I mean, it's a country that seems to be in your heart. You really enjoyed the different times that you went there.
Yeah, I mean, there may be different reasons, but one of the reasons surely is that, when that was maybe the first country in Africa which I really had time to do what I wanted, let's say, more or less. I had the freedom to shoot a lot of different things. What touched me a lot is also the people, I mean, not only Ethiopian, but the whole region. You see the mix between Africa and actually the Gulf, the Arabic, the Semitic people. That's a great blending. It's passed through Yemen, goes to Ethiopia. You see similarities, of course, with the Eritrean people, Somali people, but they're just beautiful people to look at. So surely I was touched about the beauty of the people in general. But the other thing is also, they have this very strong culture. They have great food, really. One of the best food I had in, let's say, in Black Africa. And also what really touched me, that was, let's say, an experience I had in the second trip when I did this UN Special magazine. That was near the Blue Nile. And what was amazing for me was to meet people. I felt like to move in a different time, in a different time, like I would be in the Middle Age. I saw these guys, holding sticks with chicken in a bag. And the way they look at me, I was not surprising them. I felt they didn't know what to do with me, actually. They were just going on. They were not surprised. Nobody came to me and said, I don't want my picture, or take me in picture, nothing. It was just like, okay, you're here, but we are in a different world. And I really felt like this, you know, the way they walk, you have to see it on pictures. In a few pictures I did about that, but that was really an experience to move inside the time, if you want, you know, to be suddenly in a different period of the world.